Hi all, welcome back to my channel. New dark details are coming out as the terrifying story of 3 Eustis, Florida deputies who were shot during a shootout with residents of a home there unfolds. Originally, we were told that the 3 deputies were responding to a disturbance call when they were directed to another home where the deadly shootout took place. But, during a new press conference, police gave more details, saying the woman who sent the deputies to the second location was the suspect causing the disturbance. And the home she sent deputies to for the wellness check was her own. And the residents of her home who fired on the deputies, trapping one in her home and injuring 2 others, were her family, her husband, and her 2 adopted daughters, suggesting that the woman may have sent the deputies to her home to send them into an ambush. During the press conference, new details about the original disturbance call came out. The call was about a woman acting strangely in the neighborhood, attacking neighbors, and going to homes telling residents they had to leave. Neighbors called police to report her strange and violent behavior, and when the 3 deputies responded to the disturbance call, the woman causing the problems, the one they were called about, was the one who told the deputies that they needed to go check on the residents at the second location, the home where the shootout took place. Her home, full of weapons and ammunition, and her family members inside. So, did she deliberately send those deputies to her home to be ambushed by her own family members? The Lake County Sheriff has already said the deputies were ambushed, without question, causing 1 deputy to lose his life, a second to be wounded in the arm, and a third who's left in critical condition, currently fighting for his life in a local hospital. And the tragedy doesn't stop there. The deputy who was the first to enter the ambush, who was immediately fired upon and trapped in the home, who ultimately lost his life, wasn't even supposed to be there. He was on duty at another location when the disturbance call about the woman attacking her neighbors came in. And when he heard the call, he responded to assist his fellow deputies on the call, not knowing it would be his last.
And now to that breaking news in Lake County. This here is the deputy who was shot and killed in what the sheriff is calling an ambush. Master Deputy Bradley Link was trapped after a shootout. He and another deputy initially responded to a disturbance call at a home in rural Eustis. When they got there, they were told by a neighbor to go to another home down the street. And deputies found a back door kicked in and went inside to investigate. That's when deputies say Link was hit and trapped. The other 2 deputies were shot as they tried to rescue him. Sheriff Peyton Grinnell confirmed SWAT officers found 2 other people dead inside the home. The sheriff called them suspects, but how they died is part of the investigation. We do know a 3rd person inside the home was taken to the hospital. Fox 35's Stephanie Buffonti starts our team coverage. And Stephanie, just a few minutes ago, you got some updates from the sheriff's office, very emotional updates. One identifying the deputy that was killed in the line of duty, and the other giving you an update on the condition of the 2 that are still recovering tonight.
That is exactly right. Very emotional, and it kind of speaks to how deputies are feeling in this department. Standing outside of the Lake County Sheriff's Office, and it is just a really difficult time for everyone inside that department who is now dealing and mourning with the loss of one of their own who died in the line of duty. So look at your screen right now. This is a picture of the deputy who passed, Master Deputy Sheriff Bradley Link. He was 28 years old and a Lake Minneola High School graduate. He started off as a young explorer before joining the sheriff's office here in Lake County in 2019. We were just talking about him in that press conference, and it seems like he just wanted to be part of law enforcement his whole life. It was something he always wanted to do, and he was so proud to serve his community. He leaves behind his wife, Brittany, and his parents, Christy and Daniel. Now, there was a procession held earlier. You're looking at video of that right now. You can see the lines and lines of sheriff's vehicles as they remember Deputy Link. Deputy Link died in the line of duty heroically serving his community. He responded to a disturbance call in Eustis. When deputies entered the home, they were met with what the sheriff called a hail of gunfire. Deputy Link was trapped inside the home. He was later transported to the hospital last night, where he lost his life. The other two deputies who were shot during that ambush in Eustis are still at HCA Florida Lake Monroe Hospital. Master Deputy Sheriff Harold Howell, on the left side of your screen there, was shot in the arm when he and Master Deputy Link entered the home. Deputy Howell is in stable condition and waiting to go into surgery for his injuries. Deputy Stefano Gargano was part of the officer rescue unit that formed to go into the home and save Deputy Link. When they entered the house, they were met with gunfire, and Deputy Gargano was shot several times. He had surgery overnight, had a second surgery today, and he will have a third surgery tomorrow. And like I said, we were just speaking with the public information officer with the sheriff's office here, and he said, you know, what we need right now is prayers for the deputies who are still in the hospital, and especially the deputy that is in critical condition. And just briefly, we'll dive much more into this in our later newscast, but we got a little bit of an update on what happened yesterday inside that house, or at least about those three suspects who fired the shots. But we had learned that those three people had a lot of anti-government inside their house, and that those three suspects inside had died. But like I said, we did hear a lot about that family. We had heard that the family, the people inside, was a father and two adoptive daughters, and that the mother who had brought deputies to the home, she was Baker acted. We're still working to learn if there are any charges that were filed. But again, we got a lot of updates this evening, and we actually heard a lot about these deputies who were out there to serve their community, to protect everybody, and unfortunately, a deputy who lost his life. And during that press conference, the public information officer got pretty emotional. We have some sound of that that we could play for you right now.
It's just hard. It's hard. Doing the right thing. You get a deputy. Now here we are left reeling as an agency, trying to put the pieces together, move forward, planning a funeral, supporting his widow, his parents. I think the situation pretty much speaks for itself. We just covet the community's prayers and ask that they continue to pray for his widow and parents.
So you could just see how hard it has been for everyone inside of the Lake County Sheriff's Department right now as they mourn one of their own. And like you heard it right there, the best that you could do for them right now is give them your prayers. For now, reporting in Lake County, Stephanie Buffmonte, Fox 35 News.
This horrific story is getting darker and darker the more it unfolds. And it's no doubt that this is highly emotional and scary for the police as they learn that their deputies were probably sent to that home to end their lives. The spokesperson giving the new details during a second press conference had a hard time not getting emotional as he talked about the dangers those deputies faced just doing their jobs. Here's the new press conference with additional details about what their investigation is uncovering. My prayers are with the deputies still recovering from this awful nightmare and their families. Thank you, as always, for watching. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more true crime stories.
There is a lot
to this situation last night, and quite honestly, we are still trying to work to put the pieces together. Like I said, our focus today has been the deputies and their families. But yes, we responded initially to a call regarding a physical disturbance in that neighborhood. And once we got there on scene, the main primary aggressor was a lady who lives in the house where the shooting took place. So deputies quelled that disturbance, they got the parties separated, and this lady then sent them to this house under the guise of conducting a well-being check. She said something to the effect that you need to go down to this house and check on the people there. So the deputies went down to this house, and it appeared that the house had been burglarized. In fact, they thought they had possibly a burglary in progress as they were posting up on that house. They could hear commotion inside. They tried to order the people out. No one came out. So at that point, they made entry into the home, at which time they were immediately met with heavy gunfire. That is when Deputy Link was shot. He was injured to the extent he was not able to retreat from inside the home. Deputy Howell was also shot in the arm, but he was able to back out of the house. And at that point, the remaining deputies were on the perimeter trying to maintain the perimeter. Obviously, with a downed deputy inside a house in that environment, time is of the essence. We had deputies from all over the county. We had police officers from all of our police departments in the county. Everyone was coming to the scene to render aid and assistance. Some of the first deputies that got to the scene were part of our street crimes unit, 4 of whom were on SWAT team. So those 4 SWAT guys, they formed an officer response unit, and they breached the house immediately to try and extract Deputy Link, at which time they too were met with heavy gunfire. And that is when Deputy Gargano sustained numerous gunshots. Luckily, they were able to pull him out of the house, but unfortunately, they were not able to get to Deputy Link, and that was the nightmare scenario that just unfolded right before our eyes.
Lieutenant, I know it's still early in this, putting the pieces together here, but any indication that this woman was experiencing an episode? Was this a setup? I mean,
look, we haven't ruled anything out. I think it is fair to say that she had something going on. Looking in the call notes when the initial call came in, they said she was kind of incoherent, out of her mind, talking about spiritual stuff. She was attacking people in the neighborhood. She was trying to get dogs to attack people. She beat one lady pretty well as deputies were responding. To your question, could this have been an ambush? It does appear to be an ambush to some extent. We don't know if that's why she sent our deputies down to the house where she lived, but apparently the occupants of that home, there were 4 people who lived in that home as a family, she and her husband, and then there were 2 daughters, or 2 adopted daughters is my understanding. They were 23 and 22. But what our detectives have found throughout the course of this investigation at this point is that this dwelling has been described as almost a bunker-style dwelling. They had stockpiled firearms, ammunition, MREs, canned goods, non-perishable food items, and what they found as they've gone through this house is a lot of literature to suggest that they were very much anti-government leaning people. A lot of signs of paranoia, a lot of end times, Armageddon type stuff. So definitely a very, very bizarre situation that obviously our deputies didn't realize they were going into at that time. They thought they were going there to do a well-being check, and obviously that's not how it played out.
So it was the 2 women who were killed inside the house?
So yeah, all 3 suspects are dead. And so yeah, it has become pretty apparent that all 3 of them were opening fire on our deputies. There were enough firearms and ammunition within close proximity to their bodies that lead our detectives and investigators with the FDLE to believe that all 3 of them were shooting on our deputies.
So what we haven't been able to determine, it sounds like, is how they perished, whether they were in the gunfight or whether somebody shot each other? Or?
So, right, there is no indication that they were struck with any return fire from our deputies. And at this point, we know that at least 7 of our deputies did return fire, but their gunshot wounds are more consistent with what would be self-inflicted gunshot wounds.
All three of them.
All three of them.
And I'm sorry, did you say that there's some evidence that all three were firing at deputies?
That is correct, yes. Based upon the amount of firearms that were in such close proximity to their bodies, based upon the shell casings and the amount of ammo that they had stockpiled, we believe hands down that all three of them were shooting at our deputies.
And again, John, it's such a big, complex mess.
It is.
The two women were found dead in the home. The man was transported, but he eventually did pass.
Right, and he was found wounded in the home as well. They were deceased there. They transported him, but he later succumbed to his
We're just
injuries.
trying to keep track of all the
Sure.
things that were announced last night.
Sure,
today, 'cause
sure.
There's a lot going on.
Right,
So
there is.
the two women who were found dead were the daughters of the lady that stayed in the house?
We believe that they were adopted daughters, and we've not been able to confirm yet whether or not they are biologically sisters, but
So it was the two adopted daughters and their dad.
adopted dad are the ones that fired on our deputies. Their adopted
And
dad.
All three of them.
Correct.
And the woman is in custody?
She was actually Baker acted last night.
So she was not arrested. She was taken in for mental health evaluation.
At this point, correct.
Sir, will your investigation look at if she told the people in the home that your deputies would come and get ready? Will she face charges for that?
Yeah, look, like Dave mentioned, there's so much to this, and we are trying to sort it out. And obviously, yes, if we see something like that, then that will almost certainly be guaranteed.
Can you speak to the gravity of the situation? These law enforcement officers, every day they go into work and you don't know that something like this can happen.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Understandable.
But yeah, you just never know. Deputy Link wasn't even supposed to be there. He was working a detail up in the forest. He wasn't even part of the road patrol unit. He heard the call go out. He went there to assist. So,
Talk through some of the emotions of your group that you're feeling right now.
it's just hard. Just hard. Doing the right thing. Good deputy. And now here we are left reeling as an agency trying to put the pieces together, move forward, planning a funeral, supporting his widow, his parents. I think the situation pretty much speaks for itself. We just covet the community's prayers and ask that they continue to pray for his widow and parents.
Will there be a vigil to honor his memory?
Those arrangements will be coming in the next day or so. Yeah, we have a critical incident stress management team that is assembling pretty much as we speak, and we have plans to obviously work very closely with those deputies who witnessed this in the coming days, to include our dispatchers who heard all this playing out over the radio. So there are a lot of impacts that resulted from this that are not so easily seen. A lot of people working behind the scenes that are traumatized by this as well. So yeah, we have a lot of resources and plans in place to take care of our own, for sure.
You said Deputy Howell and Deputy Gargano. Do you have their first names?
Yes, Deputy Gargano is Stefano Gargano, and Deputy Howell is Harold Howell.
Just lastly, for me at least, when you see community members who are sharing their prayers and all of that, what does that mean for other deputies who are really just trying to wrap their heads around
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, that's obviously what's going to get us through. That's what's going to get them through, and that's what we're just asking for right now, is just praying for God's peace, His strength to get us through this, and just His strength to be able to appropriately care for everyone impacted by this. It's just such a senseless tragedy, for lack of a better term. It should never happen. But unfortunately, that's the day and age we live in right now. Deputies and police officers, they go out every single day and put their lives on the line, protecting everyone equally, and this stuff happens, and it's really gut-wrenching and heartbreaking.
Have you spoken with the family? You know how they're doing and also what they need at this time?
I have not. The sheriff has been in direct contact with them, and he has visited them, and we have people at the hospital who are staying with them and just making sure that anything that they need is communicated to us. We have a whole lot of plans in place for them in the coming days that they're going to be well taken care of, for sure. Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right. Yes.
Question for me. We had heard, I know you said an anti-government group. We had heard from neighbors a cult or something like that.
No, we don't have anything to suggest anything specific like that, but definitely an anti-government mentality, end times, paranoia, that type of stuff, for sure.
Thank you for
All
talking
right.
to us.
Yeah.